Okay, we're back for another Spectrum compilation review, and this time we're looking at 4 smash hits from Hewson. It's a pack of 4 very highly rated games. I think they may all have received crash smashes. We'll check that as we go through them. I've played all of them, I think, before, so I'm really looking forward to this one. Some really good games on there, so let's have a look at the packaging and we'll see what's on there. I'll try and get this without too much. No, I'm not going to get much without the reflections. So on there we have Zynaps, Exolon, Rana-Rama and Uridium Plus. Okay, so let's have a look at the back of the case. Here you won't be able to see any of the text, but it does give us a screenshot from each of the games. It gives us a little bit of information about them all. It tells us down here that they received over 15 top game magazine awards, including Zap Sizzler, AA Rave and Crash Smashes. So yeah, a good pedigree there. The side we also have the nice Hewson logo and 4 smash hits. The design of the cover with the torn bits of the original artwork from the games, I think is really stylish. I think it's a really lovely cover. It's the fullback cover, which I always like. So yeah, I think that's really nice packaging. I think as far as a double dual goes, I don't think they come much better than this one. So let's have a look on the inside. First we've got the tape. Not exactly exciting. 4 smash hits. It's got 4 games on there. So yeah, that's that. There's nothing on the inside of the inlay. It's just a blank one. But what you do get, surprisingly, is 2 manuals. So you get this one, which covers Exolon, Zynaps and Uridium Plus. It also covers all the different systems, so Spectrum Cassette, Spectrum Disc, Amstrad Cassette, Amstrad Disc, Commodore Cassette and Commodore Disc. So it's released on all 3 on both formats for each. And we get, so there's Exolon, which tells us the controls, how to play the game and information on scoring. Zynaps gives us the scenario, controls, information about the attack fighter, the weapon system, the fuel scoop, and the enemies, as well as scoring and some technical data. And the technical data is quite interesting because it tells us that the Commodore 64 version runs at 50 frames a second, but then you see the Spectrum, it says 25 frames a second. So, you know, just an immediate comparison of the two probably doesn't tell you the whole story, but suggests that the Commodore version of Zynaps is the best, although I wouldn't necessarily agree. The Spectrum has high-resolution multicoloured scrolling graphics with 3-dimensional parallax star field and myriads of sprites. The Amstrad, though, runs at only 17 frames per second. It's also got the high-resolution multicoloured scrolling graphics and 3-dimensional parallax star field and myriads of sprites, and it also has something called a rainbow colour processor. So yeah, exciting stuff. And then we've got Uridium Plus, which also gives us play sequence. I don't know why it's headed play sequence. It's just telling you a little bit about the game, your Manta class fighter, how the scoring system works, and the game options from the different systems. And what it does suggest here is that for the Spectrum, there's no keys. It does just say that it's oh no, it's not. It does say keys. It does say keys. It just doesn't give you any keys. So maybe they're redefinable. Maybe they're not defined for you when you first get in there. And then we get the credits for the 3 games. And then we get the same again in, let's have a look, French. Let's just check there's not another language after that. Oh, yep, there is. Looks like there's French and German. So 3 languages for 3 different systems for, well, 6 different... 3 languages, 3 systems, 2 formats. Yeah, so comprehensive. And then we get a separate manual for Rana-Rama, which probably makes sense because it is the most detailed game in there that's got a lot about magic spells and things like that. So there are things it needs to tell you, the different floor glyphs and things that we'll get onto when we get to the game. All the crystals and the enemies that are in there. Some nice pictures and a lot of information. So that's the 2 manuals. Impressive stuff that they've managed to put all of this together. 4 really highly rated games. 2 manuals in a lovely packaging. I think they've done a fantastic job with the with the presentation of this one. So if that follows through into the games, then I think we're all going to be happy. So let's see how it goes. Released just before Christmas in 1987, 4 smash hits from Hewson, to give it its full name, would have set you back £9.95, and it also saw a release on the C64 and Amstrad, featuring the same 4 games across all the formats. At least 2 of the games, Zynaps and Exolon, were originally designed for the Spectrum. I'm not sure where Rana-Rama originated, but the 4th game on the pack is a Commodore 64 title that had been called in some places unconvertible, but Hewson were having none of that. We'll start by taking a look at Zynaps, a colourful horizontal shooter from Dominic Robinson. It was originally released just 6 months before the compilation, to great acclaim, gaining a Crash Smash and a Sinclair User Classic. Released just a few months after the home ports of Nemesis, it's easy to see the inspiration. A similar side-scrolling orientation, power-up pods to collect that can be used immediately or stacked to access higher value upgrades, ceiling and floor enemy placements, and environmental obstacles that can't be destroyed are all staples of the Nemesis series. But within seconds of loading, you'll see that Zynaps is a huge improvement in almost every aspect. The music and presentation on the title screen set the stall well, but it's the large colourful graphics and great gameplay that sets Zynaps apart. In fact, I think the only aspect where Nemesis would win in a fight is its loading screen. The use of colour really is superb, as we get one of the most colourful shooters on the Spectrum, with little to no attribute clash. And the excellent HUD may just be a clever way of removing screen space and keeping the speed up, but it really adds to the wonderful presentation. There are 5 different power-ups on offer: speed, firepower, bombs, missiles and seekers, each with multiple levels, though some do expire after a period of use. There are 16 levels to play through, and I'm fairly sure that I read somewhere that each game only lasts for 12 of those levels, as certain ones are chosen at random. However, I can't find where I read that, so it is entirely possible that I just made it up. But if not, then it's a great way to instill some additional longevity. Though after nearly 40 years, I still struggle to get off level 2, so I don't really need it to be any longer. Because Zynaps is a hard game, and a gamer of my calibre is never going to reach the latter stages, but in all honesty, it's never bothered me. I've always been happy just plugging away and hopefully improving just slightly with each session. I definitely prefer horizontal shooters like this and R-Type to the vertical offerings, so for me Zynaps is one of the Spectrum's very best, possibly only beaten by the aforementioned R-Type. So if you're in the market for a great looking, tough but fair shooter, you can do a lot worse than Zynaps, and not a lot better. In my mind, Exolon and Zynaps are connected, and for a long time I actually thought they were by the same person. The fantastically colourful graphics, inventive enemies and simple but engaging gameplay just has the same feel across both games, so to have them on the same tape is superb. But of course, they're not by the same person, and Exolon is by the very talented Raphael Checo, or is it Seco? The awesome 128K theme and star-spangled menu screen set us up perfectly for an impeccably presented game. But let's get our spacesuit on and step into whatever alien-infested hellhole we're in today. Exolon is a flip-screen run-and-gun platformer that takes place over 5 levels, each featuring 25 colourful screens. You're an unnamed humanoid and must rid the planet of the alien menace with your trusty blaster and back-mounted rocket-propelled grenade launcher. The earlier screens are simply enough linear tasks, where you must destroy obstacles to reach further, but soon you'll find some branching levels where you have the option of taking the high or the low ground. One way is usually easier, so a good memory or a map can help you get through the 125 screens. The varied enemies will continue to attack you until you reach the final quarter of the screen, which is a welcome way of making sure that you don't get killed unfairly when enemies appear just as you get to the edge of the screen. Along the way you'll find plenty of gun placements, tanks, satellites, force fields and mines to slow your progress. But you're blessed with 9 lives, so even early on you should be able to get through enough screens to feel a sense of accomplishment and a will to carry on and beat your previous performance. But the bouncing enemies can be infuriating, and sometimes it does feel necessary to just sacrifice a life and start the screen again. But just like Zynaps, it's this tough but fair approach to the game's difficulty that's kept me playing the game for all these years, and I expect I'll still be playing it in the years to come, despite never getting close to triple figures in the zones. Manage to get as far as Zone 9 and you'll be given the option of suiting up in an exoskeleton. This armoured suit not only means you're invulnerable to landmines, it also gives you a double shot blaster. It does have its downsides though, as your movement is slower, and you also sacrifice some of your end level hero bonus. With simple controls, beautiful visuals and enough challenge to keep you coming back time and again, Exolon is another fine example of what can be delivered when a talented coder is given the freedom to express themselves. Rana-Rama is the odd one out in this compilation. The only game that isn't side-scrolling and isn't set in space. It's a tale of dungeons and warlocks, and a frog named Mervyn, who must battle the wizards to repel an invasion, and to reverse the spell that he inadvertently cast on himself and regain his human form. Before we get into the game itself, there's just a couple of things that I'd like to share. One good, and one semi-bad. Firstly, the original box art showing an armoured Marvin reaching out of the torn inlay, pleading for your help is just magnificent. I remember seeing it for the first time and knowing that I just had to play the game. I think there may have been a poster given away with a magazine or at a game show around the time, and I had it on my wall for a good long while. But secondly, the name, Rana-Rama. I like it. It invokes all sorts of images in my mind, and it's nice to say, Rana-Rama, Rana-Rama. But on the original inlay and the loading screen, it's 2 words, Rana-Rama. But on the cover of the compilation, it's hyphenated, Rana-Rama. But to confuse matters even more, on the manual, it's a single word, Rana-Rama. Come on guys, get your act together and pick one. But what of the game? Often unfairly dismissed as yet another Gauntlet clone, Rana-Rama has a lot more depth than your average 8-bit arcade dungeon crawler. Split over 8 levels, each with between 50 and 100 rooms, you must hunt down and destroy 12 wizards on each level to win back your freedom. The dungeon is in total darkness, only lighting up as Mervyn discovers each room. And all are linked by doors, however some of these doors are not immediately visible, so exploration is a must. On the floor, apart from the staple enemy generators, you'll find a number of glyphs. Standing over these and pressing fire will activate the glyph and trigger an appropriate action. The glyph of seeing will display a map of the unvisited rooms. The power glyph will detonate a smart bomb, killing all the on-screen enemies. Way glyphs allow you to travel between levels, while the sorcery glyph lets you view the magical status screen that shows your active spells and information on the runes that you've collected. Runes are obtained by killing wizards, and when you find a wizard, you must rush to them, whereby you are presented with an anagram of a powerful spell. By swapping letters, you must spell out Rana-Rama in the time allotted. Killing a wizard releases runes, which must be quickly collected to increase your magical levels. And in all honesty, all this runes and magic business goes a little over my head. But I still have great fun exploring the map and finding and killing wizards. The graphics are nice, though small, and well presented, and the sound's perfectly acceptable too. But Mervyn is a little fiddly to control, which can make lining up a shot or trying to get through a door in a hurry a little bit of a chore. So whilst there's a lot more ambition in Rana-Rama, I think I'd personally rather stick to the pure arcade action of Gauntlet. Uridium was a huge hit on the Commodore 64, and many exclaimed that it was a game that could not be converted to the Spectrum due to the lack of hardware sprites or some other such technical mumbo-jumbo. But when Dominic Robinson told creator Andrew Braybrook to hold my beer, he created a superb interpretation that, in my humble opinion, is even better than its Commodore inspiration. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Uridium is an updated and expanded edition of the original Uridium game, released a year earlier. It didn't get a standalone release, so your only way of playing it was on a compilation. It appeared on 4 in total. The first 2 were this one, 4 smash hits from Hewson, and 5 Star Games 3 by Bo Jolly. Both were released for Christmas in 1987. It then found its way onto another couple of Hewson's compilations, the Christmas Collection in '89 and then Joystick Thunder in 1990. It seems odd to expand a game and then only release it as part of a bundle, especially a game as highly regarded as Uridium. The game is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, but with a difference. The aim isn't to simply keep blasting enemies as the screen scrolls you to the right. You're actually flying over the surface of an alien super dreadnought which has been placed in orbit around 15 planets in your galaxy sector. The dreadnoughts are draining vital resources from the planet, and it's up to you to destroy the surface defences, then land on the ship's main runway to take control. Your Manta-class fighter is nippy and very manoeuvrable. It's able to flip through 180 degrees to quickly change direction, and can also be flown on its side to get through tight gaps. The graphics are excellent, and the translation to the high-res Spectrum elevates them above the blockier original. The animation for the Manta's flips and turns is silky smooth, and but for the fact that it's almost completely monochrome, I think that even hardened Commodore 64 fanboys would have to concede that the Spectrum version is the better looking. Add to this the awesome loading screen, excellent theme music, and tight controls, and you've surely got a surefire classic. But the big problem with Uridium is in its predictability. There are a few random occurrences, such as the annoying homing missiles, that seek you out if you dawdle too much in their sight. But on the whole, the game's at least 50% a memory test. Learning the layout of the dreadnoughts is a must, but once you have that, then some of the fun dies. But there's no doubt that Uridium Plus is the absolute best way to play the game, and that Uridium itself is a mighty impressive achievement. So that's 4 smash hits from Hewson. This advert for the game proudly claims that you'll be the envy of your friends when you show them that you have the top major hits from Hewson all in one compilation by authors that are simply the best. And it's hard not to agree. This is a package I defy anyone to be disappointed with. So let's see what the magazines of the day thought. As part of their Christmas Collections feature in issue 48, Crash said that Hewson were eschewing the more is better approach and has put 4 smash hits on a tape entitled exactly that, including 2 of the year's top shooters. They didn't give the pack a score, but they do list the original review scores for the individual games, which averages out at an impressive 90%. Sinclair User felt the same, with their 9 out of 10 review in the 1988 New Year issue, remarking that it's been a good year all round for Hewson, so what better way than end the year with a compilation. But this is no ordinary compilation. Oh no, this is special, as every game on the tape got a classic or a smash or whatever. And they're right. In terms of the game's individual magazine review scores, this could be the highest rated compilation ever released for the Spectrum. But I'm reviewing them with almost 40 years of hindsight, so let's take a look at my scores. Zynaps is a colourful, fun and challenging shoot 'em up that's probably my second favourite on the system, so that scores a 9. Exolon is a beautiful platform shooter that's not only stood the test of time, I think it actually even feels better than ever, and that gets a 9 also. Rana-Rama takes Gauntlet, mixes it with Quasitron and comes up with a bizarre but playable frog-led dungeon romp. The fantasy setting isn't to my liking, so the spells left me cold, but it easily deserves a 7. And Uridium Plus is an excellent extension to a slightly overrated game, but its enhancements lift the score to an 8, which gives an average game rating for 4 smash hits of 8.25. The packaging is, in my opinion, about as perfect as a double dual release can ever get, and only misses out on a perfect score due to it being a single tape rather than 2. The game's received a combined 33 points, and with a purchase price of £9.95, that comes out at 30 pence per point, which is enough for a value for money score of 7.5. And tapping all that into a Sinclair Scientific, we find that 4 smash hits from Hewson scores a massive 82.5%. Which means that we now have a new leader of the pack. Konami's Coin Op Hits manages just a single episode as our leader, and Arcade Force 4 is finally pushed out of the top 3. Hewson also lead the Constructions Championship with a full 5-point lead over US Gold. So now let's have another quick listen to this episode's theme music, which comes from Virgin Games Viz, before returning in 30 seconds with the 9th review in my Cascade Cassette 50 series. Right then, thanks for sticking around. This episode's Cassette 50 game is Breakout. No authors listed, but we do know it was the 5th game on the first side of the tape. So let's fire it up and see what we think. Okay, so it's standard Breakout, using keys 6 and 7, which is an odd choice. I suppose they were the cursor keys, but they're side by side. Surely keys stacked would have worked a lot better, but let's see how it goes. It does seem to be, the angles seem alright. Well, that flicker is terrible. Oh, that's actually hurting my eyes already. Flicker on the bat and the ball. The layout was quite nice. Gap in between the first 2 levels, which should help to let the ball bounce around a lot. But one thing I have noticed, oh, lost a life there. One thing I have noticed is that the ball has to hit the back of your bat, which is a bit disorienting. Surely the front of the bat would have been much, much better. And that, I think that's probably why I lost that first life, but we'll see how it goes. This first bit's a bit dull, so I'm just knocking off a brick, coming back. There's no dancing about inside, knocking off multiple bricks, so it's not looking great so far. And the ball seems to bounce between the gaps in those bricks far too easily. Oh, I made a hole though. Let's see whether I can do anything with that. Oh, there we go. That's what I wanted. Yeah, those diagonal lines where it comes straight through just doesn't seem right. Surely it'd be catching them bricks. Oh, clearing some more. Let's see if we can start getting some of the greens out of the way now. Ugh, just picking up stragglers. There we go, into the green. Oh, that's not bad, is it? Took out 4 of them. Oh, another life lost. Oh, I'm on ball 5. That probably is the last one.
Wonder if I can get through to the blues before then. That'll help. The geometry of the shots, I suppose, is acceptable. The graphics are fine for a basic Breakout clone, but I think even by the time this was released, even by the time the Cascade Cassette 50 was released, this was old hat. Yeah, you're not going to get any points for originality, that's for sure. But I have broken through to the blue now, so let's... Oh, no, there we go. That's the last life lost. 790 points. There is a high score, it seems. Oh, but actually the high score's returned to 0, so that's not really very good, is it? Right, I'll probably fast forward the video at this point, so I'll play another game and you won't have to just sit and watch me plinky plonk. Although those plinky plonk sounds are acceptable. At least it does seem like a finished game, unlike a lot of the games in Cassette 50. So yeah, I'll probably fast forward it now and see on the other side. Okay, I'm on my last life now. Let's see if we can get through those yellows and onto the other side and see what happens. See if the ball bounces back off the back wall. Oh no, never mind, I died. Beat my score though, so let's just have one more try. Oh, see if I can do any better on this one. No, lost another. Ah, up to all 4 already. That high score disappearing is disappointing. I don't like that. Oh no, oh, shouldn't have bothered. So, while it is just a Breakout clone, I did have 3 goes. That probably says more about the game type than the actual program, to be honest. But it's competent enough, and on another day, the headache-inducing flicker and disappearing high scores could have dropped the score lower. But I'm feeling generous, and Breakout gets 3 out of 10.